Come on, guys. On defense, move your feet and hedge the screens. Protect the baseline and stay low. No more fouls. Tyler, on offense, set the pick and actually roll towards the basket, will you? Step it up. Let's go, team. Any questions?
Coach, what's the snack today?
Cupcakes, I think.
Remember, they're just kids, so let them be kids. Children's Trust Fund of Missouri. Strong families, safe kids.
The 2013 Missouri legislative session has officially begun.
It wakes you up, even as a legislator, to listen to mayors say, this is the problem.
And as your state leaders file back into the Capitol, so does Missouri Net. We have reporters there and on the floor. We have an office, even a parking space, and Missouri Net reporters are working around the clock to bring you up-to-date and accurate news from this 2013 session.
Bob Pretty, Missouri Net at the Capitol.
Your state, your news, Missouri Net.
BigIron.com knows that when you have money tied up in equipment that doesn't meet your needs, it limits your ability to manage your business. By selling your equipment at BigIron.com, you have thousands of eyes on your equipment, and it turns right to liquid capital. In fact, we have trained reps across the state that can come right to your farm and help you list your equipment. Mark Miller helps Iowa folks like you list, describe, and take pictures of your pieces. Just head to BigIron.com and find him in the list of district managers. Or call Mark at 402-750-5388. Everything sells on BigIron.com. You don't pay transportation costs to ship it across Iowa or out of the state. So start selling at BigIron.com. If you're looking for equipment for your farm or job, experience the power of BigIron.com. You'll be able to shop for equipment that's right here in Iowa or across the country. There are no buyer's premiums, no reserve prices, and every item sells. Our site is simple, easy to use, and you don't need to log in to start viewing the items that are for sale. See for yourself at BigIron.com.
Where's Robert? I'm Rick Fisher with weather on America's Best Country. Look for scattered flurries in the forecast before noon today. Mostly sunny skies later and a high near 25 with wind chills today and tonight down as low as 5 below. Otherwise, it'll be clear tonight and the low should be right around 7 degrees with sunny skies tomorrow and a high near 26.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears.
How are we doing? Welcome. It's Healthy You on Tuesday morning and another chilly one. Here we were fooled by Mother Nature again. Everyone breaking out their spring windbreakers and T-shirts and shorts. Right, Elisa?
I was not doing that quite yet.
I wasn't quite in the T-shirts and shorts. I took a run the other day, and I wanted to be in my T-shirt and shorts. It looks like we're going to have our snow shovels out, though, come later in the week.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah. So there were some buds that were softening on the various little trees and stuff. Is there anything, I mean, is that going to kill the buds if we get a freeze now? I mean, since the freeze?
I think the master gardener in me says if you've got something fresh blooming on a tree, it's going to get nipped by the frost and make it not so fresh and new.
Yeah. Well, anyway, welcome to the program. Thanks for being here.
Speaking of fresh and new, did you know that you're going to be helping with the prenatal classes coming up in March?
Yeah, right. I knew that.
That was a good. That was the right.
I have
answer.
that on my calendar. In fact, I'm putting it on there right now. What?
That was the right answer. So, if you are out there and you have a new baby on the way, whether you are delivering that new baby at Scotland County Hospital or someplace around the area, if we are closest to you in terms of driving in for your prenatal classes, we want you to know that you're invited on March 11th and 12th. That's a Monday and Tuesday, from 7 to 9 in our new North Dining Room. That would mean you would come in the entrance near the surgery center. You would come in the one that's parallel to the nursing home, to the care center. We do need you to call and register. These are free of charge. You've got a great team, the OB nurses and Dr. Tobler and some of the others that work back there in the Women's Center that will be teaching these classes. And Sally, our guest who is on the radio today, she will be back there from the anesthesia department. And on March 11th and 12th from 7 to 9, we will be offering these free prenatal classes. You'll get a tour of our Women's Center. If you have not made a decision where you're going to deliver, you'll get a tour of the Women's Center. Additionally, we'll have some snacks because you never keep pregnant ladies in a room from 7 to 9 without feeding them something nutritious. And so we do want any mom to know that we do have these classes offered. Additionally, if you are not necessarily in that at that time frame yet to be looking at prenatal classes, the OB and Women's Center girls want you to know that we will also be having prenatal classes in July and another set of classes in October of 2013. So if you aren't going to need them just immediately, if you're not going to need them in March on the 11th and 12th, we will be sending out notices for July, and we will also be sending out notices for October.
Good. So hope to see you there. And, really any gestation that you don't have to be just ready to deliver or 6 months from delivery. It doesn't matter. We'll try to cover everything for you and answer questions. And I hope we have the little sympathy belly there as well.
Tell me, what is the sympathy belly?
You haven't seen the sympathy belly?
Belly. Who wears the sympathy belly?
It weighs about 30 pounds or so, maybe a little more, and Dad wears that. To just try to get a sense of what it's like. We just lost all the dads. They are not going to be coming to that class, right? No, but it's sort of fun because that way, because, it is a tough time for women, for their backs and their hips and their knees and a lot of the aches and the pains. And, imagine strapping on something on your belly that weighs 30 pounds. That's what, a gallon of water is about 8 or 9 pounds. That's like, three milk jugs, huh?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Put those on your belt. And,
neat training tool.
Yeah, put those on your belt and wear them, fellas, for a while and tell me your back doesn't hurt. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll have a lot of fun and and try to diffuse a lot of the, I guess, myths and fears. And, it's the fear of the unknown that's usually the worst about anything. The anxiety is usually worse than the reality in these kind of matters.
So tell us over at the Women's Center, you're the expert over there, aren't you? The chief of that department over there. Tell us how many doctors do we have that deliver babies right now?
4. We have Doctors Hoyle and Davis, of course, family practice docs who do OB as well. And then Dr. Bridget Cormier, whose office is over at the Cahokia Medical Clinic, but then she delivers here as well. And then I do. And we do all of our C-sections there, of course, and I do the bulk of those for those docs, but also Doctors Miller Parrish and Keith Thome, our surgeons, do that as well. So plenty of people to deliver babies either way. However the babies come out, we can handle it.
That is a pretty good bunch of docs for this area to be able to deliver babies.
I like to say obstetrics is a wonderful, the obstetricians always graduate in the bottom 10% of their class. Yeah. Because it's
Why is that?
Yeah, did you know that? It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's a joke. all the internists like to kid us about that, Well, because it's very simple, right? A baby, there's really when it comes down to delivery, the baby is either going to tell you they're either fit or they don't, or they have trouble with their heart tones or they don't. And then there's only 2 decisions. Does it come out one way or the other? So
through the front door or the side window, is that what you're telling us?
That's why they have that's right. So we call a C-section a vaginal bypass operation. So those cardiothoracic surgeons, they can do their cardiac bypass and coronary bypass, but we do a vaginal bypass. Just with no zippers though. No zippers. And by the way, when we do sections, we don't as a rule do the staples. So that's a good thing. We do the stitches sort of under the skin. Mm-hmm. And our special guest in studio, Sally Pepsel, loves it when we put in those extra sutures because it takes extra time. But it's always good from the patient's perspective. How you doing, Sally? Welcome to the program. Thanks for being here.
I am fine.
There's Sally Pepsel. She's certified registered nurse anesthetist for 19 years and has been here at Scotland County Hospital for a little over 2 years, right, since December of 2010.
Yeah.
Along with husband Robert, we call him Bob, and Michael Browning.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
And so, it's a great team, and I get you're the leader of the pack, aren't you? Sort of, aren't you? I don't know.
I'm the head cheese, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's the grand poobah, the big cheese, yeah. And she's also, she won't tell you this because she's very modest and humble, but she's also the past president. What now? Last year in 2010, 2011, yeah,
2 years ago.
of the Missouri Association of CRNAs, or
yes.
Is that right? And you're still involved nationally in terms of advocacy and education from a nurse anesthesia standpoint?
Yeah, I right now sit on a national subcommittee for the association while we transition into an 8-year cycle of recertification. So we're trying to figure out how to recertify nurses with what we call lifelong learning to maintain our competency as practitioners.
So I don't know. This is something that has been all specialties are going through this. They're trying to figure out how do we ensure with satisfaction to the people that make decisions in the houses of Congress and bureaucrats whether that we're competent. Now, we used to call that just being a professional. But now we have to have all kinds of fancy testing and recertification and this and that. And if it's designed properly, it's not egregious, and it is educational, and it does give you the latest information that you need to know if you've been out of school for a while, because there's some pretty good data out there that as the time from school goes along, if you don't keep up your skills, then you can lose in terms of being on the cutting edge.
Now, it's a multimodal type of certification, because that will include not just continuing education. It also includes professional activities that the nurse anesthetist is involved with. That includes outside of their clinical practice. It also includes taking a self-test, and then a certifying exam every 8 years.
Like a reboarding type of exam.
Reboarding type.
Yeah.
So 5 options, but it will be cycled every 8 years, so that you are required, right now we're in that process, you're required to have certain amount of these elements every year, and then they remind you that here you have only completed these elements, you have 4 more years to do that. So the first 8-year cycle doesn't really start till 2015. Once we roll the entire thing out, and the first exam will be 2024, 2025. I'll be retired by then.
Don't say that. Don't retire on us.
No, I'm not.
The American College of OBGYN had done that starting in the mid-2000s, and they put everyone on a 6-year cycle. I think mine's up this year, I think. But every year, there's several, quarterly, there's a bunch of articles that you're sent that are sort of the salient things, not only in the OB literature, but others that are important. And then, sort of an open book test, but it really it crystallizes things in your mind by going through that. And then you take a board exam as well, but it's not quite as rigorous, I understand, as the original one, because a lot of the original tests everyone takes are sort of about a lot of the basics, and so they just make sure that you're up to date and fresh. That's good.
The 5 areas we really have to be tested with is airway management. We're supposed to be expert in airway management, technology.
Yeah. We need to talk about that. We have some exciting technology that maybe most people aren't aware of. The special scope, the glide scope, the King's. We'll talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah. And what else?
Airway management. You have anesthesia technology, pharmacology, because that's what we do a lot.
Sure.
And let's see, there's 3 major core that we are tested out. But something you do all the time in your practice.
Well, we'll take a little break, step aside, and then if you all would like to call and talk about your fears, your good experiences, your not so good experiences, maybe you have heard some of the conversation that you shouldn't have heard over the table, because we want to talk about that, about, people will tell me, I heard them saying things, and I was asleep, I was told. And, that's weird. I mean, how can that happen if you're numb and you're asleep? But apparently it can. So we'll talk about that. And about some additional things that our nurse anesthesia group does here, like if you've worn the pregnancy sympathy belly too long and you have back pain, you can do something for that, maybe, right? All right, we'll talk about that with our special guest, Sally Pepsel, here on Healthy You. Join us after the break. The numbers are 465-7225
and 1-800-748-7875.
That's Bud got a sex change. No, that's Elisa. Bud's out today. We'll be back.
Mid-American Energy is putting the power to achieve greater energy efficiency in our hands. Their website offers smart tools for saving energy, like online energy audits for our homes, and simple, inexpensive tips like changing furnace and air conditioner filters regularly, using compact fluorescent bulbs, and closing drapes on hot, sunny days. Save some green with Mid-American by visiting MidAmericanEnergy.com. Energy efficiency is in our hands with Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Sharing is often a good thing, but when your mouth touches your baby's spoon, straw, or even pacifier, you could be passing along germs that cause cavities.
Your child can get cavities as soon as they have teeth. Dental visits should start early, by the age of 1. Find more tips like these on the I Smile Dental Home Initiative Facebook page.
February's National Children's Dental Health Month, so now's a great time to join in the discussion.
Stop sharing germs and start preventive care early, like the I Smile Dental Home Initiative Facebook page today.
Early prevention can keep kids smiling.
In today's competitive world, college and career readiness is key. Whether you're still in school or looking for a change, you need the necessary knowledge and skills to prepare you for your future. Missouri Career and Technical Education programs combine academics, technology, and vocational training to set you up for success. Visit dese.mo.gov to learn more. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Setting money aside for emergency is a smart move. Expensive car repairs, job loss, or unforeseen medical expenses can present financial challenges. Community Bank of Memphis encourages you to set aside some money for that rainy day. Invest in a savings account or a short-term CD so your money is available when you need it. When you bank with us, your money is completely safe. Each depositor is FDIC insured to $250,000. Hometown banking with your neighbors and friends at Community Bank of Memphis, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
The Agricultural Education Mission is to prepare students for successful careers and a lifetime of informed choices in the global agriculture, food fiber, and natural resources system. Hello everyone, I'm Cindy Young with Brownfield Ag News. Join me in recognizing the importance of agricultural education during National FFA Week, February 16th through the 23rd. Agricultural education prepares students for successful careers and a lifetime of informed choices in the global agriculture, food fiber, and natural resources system. FFA is committed to the individual student, providing a path to achievement in premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education. Join us in recognizing our local FFA chapters and supporters during this National FFA Week, February 16th through the 23rd.
As a producer, your farming operation is subject to a number of risk factors. With the ever-changing market prices and weather conditions, you can't afford to gamble with not having the right management in place. Bradley Insurance in Memphis says don't miss your opportunity to protect your investment. Call Tanya Bradley at 660-465-2764. 660-465-2764. Bradley Insurance Agency in Memphis, a sponsor of this week's Brownfield FFA Salutes.
To my foolish alibi for you, girl, I'm not too clever. I just adore you. Call me unpredictable. Tell me that I'm so impractical. Rainbows I'm inclined to pursue. Go ahead, call me irresponsible. Yes, I'm unreliable, but it's undeniably true.
We're back. It's 23 after the hour here at KMEM 100.5. Real country, real Buble, real health. And Bud is out on assignment today. Do we know where Bud is?
Middle East.
Middle East. He said you were in the Middle East. What are you guys going to
It's Dubai.
It's Dubai. They have the tallest tower in the world. And
most popular vacation destination if you can afford it.
Yeah, well, you see, I pay Elisa and Bud so well that they can vacation in Dubai. Can you imagine
That's
that?
it. That's it.
Yeah, I take good care of the team. At any rate, so Bud will be back next week, and Elisa's here, and she was out last week. Right?
Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have to tell you, not Dubai.
And Sally Pepsel is with us, and we invite your phone calls if you want to ask a question about anesthesia. And if you have any interesting stories about anesthesia, because, those are always fun to talk about, and there's no holds barred here on the show, right? We try to be as politically incorrect as we can at least once a quarter so that Elisa sweats and, she's rolling her eyes. No, we don't do that. The numbers are 465-7225, and the long-distance number, Sal?
1-800-748. Do you see it there?
Yeah, 7875.
Yeah, when you're a co-host here, you have to really, that's part of the deal here.
I was trying to look where that was.
So CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthesia, right?
Nurse anesthetist.
Oh, nurse anesthetist, right. And you provide certified registered nurse anesthesia. And what does that mean? The trek to a CRNA is what? Through first RN? No?
Yeah. First, you have to be a registered nurse with a baccalaureate degree in either in nursing or a health-related field.
Oh, okay.
Then the minimum is that you have had 1 year of critical care experience. For the most part, most people have had a minimum of 5 to 7 years experience. Then you go to a graduate program that is about 24 to 36 months. Right now it's 36 months to finish your anesthesia career.
Sally, tell us your trek. How did you start? Where did you begin? And you don't have to give any dates. We're not going to give your age away because you're beautiful at your age. But do tell us, how did your trek start and Bob's trek? Give us both you and Bob how you got to this point.
I went into anesthesia by osmosis, basically. I was actually starting my doctorate program at the University of Minnesota, but my husband, who was already a CRNA, Bob, has been deployed for the Desert Storm in 1990. So he was doing that. I forgo with my education to work and stay with my daughter. So when he came back, he was a self-employed nurse anesthetist, and I managed his business. So I said, I can do this.
And did he do nurse anesthetist on his deployment? That's what he was deployed for, his medical?
Yes, he was working as a nurse anesthetist in El Paso, Texas.
And let's talk a little bit about the culture of the operating room. And I mean, it's different in a big metropolitan area where there's multiple hospitals and so forth. There's, but there are the people who are going to put you to sleep are either anesthesiologists, which are either DO or MD, right? And then there's CRNAs.
Right.
The culture that I was familiar with the first 18 years of the career was in St. Louis, big hospitals where there were sort of supervising anesthesiologists who also did some hands-on, but largely the CRNAs did most of the work. They were the ones that were doing case after case after case. The anesthesiologists were oversight, difficult questions, things that, if there was a little problem, putting out little fires,
Right.
But here in rural America, I mean, anesthesiologists are as rare as the dodo bird, and really CRNAs do all the heavy lifting.
Right.
Right?
There are two types of models in which anesthesia can practice. One of which, and which is common in an urban hospital, is the ACT, or the anesthesia care team, where you do both have the anesthesiologist and the nurse anesthetist. And in that case, the nurse anesthetist functions primarily as a clinical practitioner, and the anesthesiologist as a supervisor or medically directs the management of the anesthesia.
Okay.
That is common in urban settings.
Right.
And that is also prevailing in most ambulatory surgery centers in certain states. But in certain states, nurse anesthetists can run an ambulatory center, and I have done that for 5 years.
Really? Yeah.
Yes. I set up the entire anesthesia department for a surgery center in Columbia, the first one.
Yeah.
Anyway, in rural America, the reason we only have CRNAs there are a lot of multiple reasons, and studies have been shown that there's a lot of economic disincentives for the anesthesiologists to come. And yet you do have people who need access to health care. And CRNAs have been working as nurse anesthetists for over 150 years. And we have about, let's say, 1,300 rural counties, or not rural counties, critical access in the country. In the Midwest, we have 384. In Missouri, we have 36. Not all of them have operating rooms. And basically, one of the main reasons why CRNAs in the rural hospitals, because one of which is there's what we call autonomous practice. The nature of the cases that we do compared to urban practice are a little bit less complex. However, that doesn't they may not be doing a lot of the complex like open heart and neuro and bypasses and so forth, but we do see a lot of sick patients, older and the very young.
So we may do a little more bread and butter surgery. Well, not more than but as a percentage of what we do a lot of bread and butter stuff that 95% of people need: the gallbladder, the appendix, the bowel surgery in my field, the gynecology, the uterine surgery, the ovarian surgery, the baby delivery, and that comprises the vast majority of the surgeries that people have around the country. We don't have the resources at the hospital, for instance, to do cardiac bypass. Okay, so we don't do it. We don't do neurosurgery, although Elisa would like me to have some neurosurgery personally on occasion.
What's it called, a lobectomy?
Yes, that's right. Maybe you think I've already had one of those. And sometimes it's a matter of monitoring. I mean, you need some very, very sophisticated things. You need to have cardioplegia, to have cardiac bypass surgery. So there's things that we don't do. But in terms of sick people who need bread and butter things done to them, there's the patient and then there's the procedure. And you can handle a very high level of complexity right here at Scotland County Hospital with your training, because I know your group also has done work at the University of Missouri, right? And boy, I remember Michael Browning, the more youthful, the less seasoned member of the team. Let's put it that way. I remember one time we had a fairly sick child who needed an appendix, and was pretty sick, And I said, wow, this is pretty complex. Oh, he said, I just did a 9-hour case with a, cardiothoracic case on a kid down there at Columbia. And it was like, whew, good. Because when you're used to doing routinely the very, very tough stuff, the tough stuff, not the very, very tough stuff, looks pretty easy. And we do tough stuff here.
Right.
Yeah.
We do. We have, as long as we have the capacity for the monitoring, and what we do basically is calculate the risk that the patients have, and if we can handle it, we do that. But we screen the patient quite well because our utmost concern is patient safety.
One of the things that can get in the way of a successful operation is getting the patient to sleep and making sure you can maintain that airway. You said that's a core competency that your recertification and obviously your training enables you for. And we have to say that there are times when in the emergency room, for instance, there are so many things happening. Sometimes it's an extremely difficult windpipe to negotiate. You guys will be called in for that. I mean, it's not very commonly because our ER doctors are pretty good at that stuff. They see it a lot. But once in a while, they're busy doing other things and you're called in. So managing the airway is important. Many times I know I've had patients where either because they've had prior head and neck surgery or because they're just the way they look, a short neck, there's other things. I'll say, hey, Sally, Michael, Bob, will you come over, take a look? What do you think? Is this something we should be anticipating, something we should deal with? Go through that whole sequence of how you evaluate the patient for the airway even before the case so that you're not ambushed on the day and caught flat-footed.
Okay. When we assess airway, we look at it 3 different ways. We have the elective airway, which we don't see any difficulty. We have the predicted difficult airway, and we have the unpredicted difficult airway, which we really don't want to be in there, but it does happen. Most of what we do in preoperative area and the perioperative arena is to assess the possibility that the airway might be difficult, anticipated, or if it's a predicted difficult airway, we have the armamentarium to manage that difficult airway. And that may not just include us. It may include a surgeon for a rapid, we call it opening the windpipe in an emergent. But a lot of that can be prevented if you pre-plan ahead of time. So when we see a patient, we do an airway management. Airway assessment. We look at their habitus. We look at how far they can have their
habitus. Let's define that.
Well,
their size.
Their size.
And the way their neck looks, right?
And their mouth opens.
And their mouth opens, yeah.
and what kind of previous surgeries they've had that would limit the range of motion.
Right.
A lot of that get in the way, and how big of a tongue they have. Can we see even the uvula? We classify them into.
And the uvula is the little ding that dangles from the
That's
bottom of your the top of your soft palate there, right?
It's easy to say that when people don't have teeth, they have dentures, we just take it up and it's easier to do. But they sometimes can be difficult if they have had previous surgery of the neck or of the mouth and so forth. So we take that into consideration in predicting whether the airway would be difficult. Yeah. And even if we do that, sometimes they're still unpredicted because of the mental distance of where your cricothyroid is and where your...
The cricothyroid is the Adam's apple, right below the Adam's apple.
Some of them could be very anterior, so you have to manipulate the way you open the airway when you put the tube in.
So Sally just admitted she's very manipulative. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But this is really important stuff, because when that moment of truth comes, and you've been paralyzed, which is one of the first steps, and you sometimes don't paralyze on purpose because you have a predicted issue, and I know that, and that gets into the weeds probably a little too much for this program. But the point is, there are times when the patient is put to sleep with the magic juice and everything's they're paralyzed, their breathing muscles aren't working. You need to get an airway in. And I have to tell you, folks, that is a thing of beauty to watch these professionals in action when that happens. I mean, it's a thing of beauty to watch when it's just smooth as a whistle, which is 99% of the time anyway. But even when there's that 1% of the time, absolute professionalism, calm takes place. And maybe when we come back, we'll talk about some of the special tools that you use. And one thing that I know you worked with me in leading the charge to get a neat piece of technology here and evaluating it, about a year and a half ago, I guess.
Yes.
And that's made a big difference, not only on our ambulance service in the field, but in the ER and in the operating room. Okay, we'll talk about that when we come back with Sally Pepsol, a very special guest here on Healthy University on KMEM. It's 24 till the hour. Stay with us.
Agricultural education program provides a well-rounded, practical approach to learning through three components: classroom education, hands-on supervised agricultural experience such as starting a business, and FFA, which provides leadership opportunities and tests students' agricultural skills. Hello everyone, I'm Cindy Young with Brownfield, celebrating National FFA Week, February 16th through the 23rd. Local, state, and national FFA programs and activities help members develop public speaking skills, conduct and participate in meetings, manage financial matters, strengthen problem-solving abilities, and assume civic responsibilities. The ag industry is strong, offering many opportunities. There are more than 300 careers in agriculture. FFA members believe in the future of agriculture and are preparing themselves for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success.
Comfort Construction in Memphis for all your remodeling needs, from roof to floor or maybe a new door. Joel can do it all. Fast, professional service. Construction of new floors, cabinets, shelves, windows. No job is too big or too small. So give Joel a call today at 660-883-5677. That's Comfort Construction in Memphis.
There's something happening in Iowa.
I will start taking the stairs.
I will start eating healthy.
I will eat more fruits and vegetables.
People are taking the pledge to begin a healthier lifestyle for themselves and for their loved ones.
I will walk instead of watching TV.
I'll be more active more often.
I'll get regular checkups even when I feel fine.
Make your own pledge to live well. Start today by having your blood pressure checked. And let's get healthy. Provided by Iowa Community Transformation and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Honesty. At Iowa Banks, Midwestern values like honesty and integrity matter. We don't just say what you want to hear, we carefully listen to your needs and help you figure out how to achieve your goals. Whether you're financing your child's education, growing your company, or starting a new business, you can count on Iowa bankers for honest advice. To find an Iowa bank near you, go to myiowabank.com. Iowa Banks, Iowa Values.
FFA Week is February 16th through the 23rd. Your friends at Fred Rex Collision Repair in Memphis would like to ask you to join them in taking a moment to salute our area FFA members and your local chapter. This FFA Week salute is courtesy of Fred Rex Collision Repair in Memphis.
It's the nothing but net buzzer beater.
Made it! Made it at the buzzer! That's good! That counts!
The gravity-defying dunks.
Absolutely flushed it.
It's the rebound that saves the win. The no-look pass around the back. The student body that never stops believing. It's Tiger basketball.
Sponsors include Hoosie's, Memphis Lumber Company, the dental office of Dr. Harlow Donaldson, Bretto Pizza, M's Place, Kirksville Yamaha Honda, and Carpet One.
Sit down and take a look at yourself. Don't you want to be somebody? Someday somebody's gonna see inside. You have to face up. You can't run and hide. Have you heard about the lonesome loser? Beaten by the queen of hearts every time. Have you heard about the lonesome loser? He's a
Did my wife slip this song in again? Talking about me again, the loser? I don't know. She likes to kid me about that. We're talking with Sally Pepsel, one of our 3 certified registered nurse anesthetists at Scotland County. And folks, know that you are very lucky to have the great anesthesia team, 3 minutes away? Maybe less. I mean, they live right here in town, 2 minutes away. Okay.
I can walk it.
Yeah, and that's great, because that's really a big blessing when you're in a small rural community. But that's why we do things here that they can't do other places. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And we thank you for being in here today, Sally. And if you do have to split for some emergency, we understand, because that's happened before here.
Yeah.
But Bob's with you today, right? Often you guys are in town together, and yeah.
He will answer.
Yeah. Okay. So, and along with Elisa Kiger, our producer, I am Dr. Randy Tobler. Bud Wilson is out on assignment in Dubai in the Middle East. I don't know, picking up sand fleas. I don't know what he's doing. So we talked about the airway and how you can manage it, and then all of a sudden you think things are going to be okay, and suddenly there's a, oh my goodness, problem. There's a neat little tool that I love to watch when it's in action, and in fact I've played with it myself a little bit, because I don't normally do intubations on people, right? I'm on the other end of the patient.
Right.
But on the offhand that a patient needs my services, I now feel more confident, because the very tool that you use, I can use, and it's a very user-friendly way of getting that tube into that airway so you can maintain oxygenation, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about it.
About a year and a half ago, we looked and evaluated an intubating modality called video laryngoscope. It's very portable. It has an LED HD monitor that's about the size of your camera, your mini camera.
Right.
And then attached to it is the blade, which is disposable.
Yeah. So all of the optics are in that disposable thing,
the same.
but yet the quality of the picture is excellent.
It's HD,
Yeah.
and it's run by battery.
Yeah.
I believe it's only 4 AA
Yeah, just some AA's. Yeah.
batteries.
It looks like something you could get at Toys R Us. Cost a little bit more,
I'm guessing it did, yeah.
but it's amazing.
It's one of the
Yes.
more reasonably cost
Yeah.
Very good.
intubating kit that we have in the market. Most of them cost in the thousands.
Yeah, and the original one that was sort of the, everyone used, was on a little stand and a bigger
Correct.
screen, and
Right.
much more cumbersome. This is a unit that's portable, and so it can
Yeah.
be used all over the hospital.
And it really works well on top of a crash cart or in the ambulance.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's very mobile.
Currently, when you're looking at someone's vocal cords to get that tube down there, it's basically sort of a handheld battery device
Right.
with at a right angle to that, a long blade, metal
Right.
blade, and you have to sort of lift up on the person's tongue and jaw,
Right.
and you have to peek down there, and you're squinting and you're trying to find that. This way, I mean, the camera, your eyes now are right on the tip of that blade,
Right.
and boy, you just slide that puppy right in there. It's really
It
neat.
guides you to the landmark much faster,
Yeah,
much clearer,
Yeah.
and so you can see
Yeah.
what you're looking for. You can have more precise movement to be able to put the tube down.
Video laryngoscopy.
Yes.
Here on Healthy You. All right. So that's just one of the few technical, interesting things that you have. I understand you guys were at a conference recently.
Yes.
And down in Naples.
Yeah.
Where they leave. That's where they leave their chads hang. Remember for the election in 2000? All of the controversy, all the hanging chads?
Yes.
Yeah, sort of like the uvula. But in a different kind of political way. And you learned some neat things about pharmacology and some new techniques and coming up with new things always, right?
Right.
What about regional anesthesia? People often wonder, what kind of anesthesia am I going to have? And I think most people assume that they're going to be put to sleep, right? But that's not always the case. We use regional anesthesia more and more, particularly in certain types of cases.
Right.
What does that mean? Does it mean one type of region in the Midwest you get one kind of anesthesia, and in the West? No, it means something else.
It means a region of your body will be anesthetized using a local anesthetic to provide pain control, at the same time provide relaxation during surgery. We use that primarily on a lot of the orthopedic cases. We do regional in OB.
We do.
Because we do the region from the belly button down. So that's a region of the body that can be anesthetized, so you would be pain-free and you'll be very comfortable.
And what other kind of cases? Tell us about the orthopedic cases, because we just added orthopedic.
Dr. Weaver.
That's right, Dr. Weaver here in June, and I know that they're just keeping on top of equipment and keeping on top of procedures in order to meet the needs of our orthopedic patients. So what type of regional anesthesia would you use for an orthopedic patient?
Yeah, somebody who is having a carpal tunnel release,
okay,
a CTR, so to speak, on one hand or the other, we use what we call a beer block. Not the beer that you drink, but that's the name of the guy who
I thought you were putting some Bud Light in there. No wonder you're so popular.
That's one way to become paralyzed.
Beer block basically is you put a tourniquet and you do take out, you do a lot of, you prepare a local anesthetic like lidocaine, the lowest percentage of lidocaine, and you inject it to the intravenous area while localizing it from the elbow down, because primarily that's the region of the body you want to be anesthetized. And that requires, sometimes some people need sedation, very light sedation, but the primary anesthetic is regional, meaning beer block. Now for OB, we do epidurals, we do spinals, and so forth. Now for shoulder surgery, we do the regional anesthesia primarily to control pain and be an adjunct for a general anesthetic, because for shoulder surgery you have to be under general anesthesia, plus you want to afford better exposure of the site of the shoulder and less pain, because at any time they do a procedure in your shoulder and they go to cut to the nerve, cut to all the ligaments, that is painful afterwards. So what we do is preempt that. So before you go back, we put what we call a interscalene block.
Wow.
It's a bundle of nerves from your brachial, what we call brachial plexus, and then
comes out of the neck and feeds the arms.
Right, feeds the shoulder all the way to the arms, and it's monitored using a nerve stimulator, so that by the time you wake up, you're pain-free. You're just after you wake up from the general anesthetic, you don't have the pain that you normally would have if you didn't have it. So it's an adjunct.
Yeah. Brachial plexus, I remember telling my wife, that's one of the things that in obstetrics we worry about when a baby's real big, and sometimes we have to pull in their head we worry about getting a stretch of that brachial plexus and having limp. And I remember coming home one time and telling my wife, boy, I had a big baby, I was so worried, and we got the baby out and there was no brachial plexus. My son at that time was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, and of course dinosaurs were big. He says, brachial plexus, I saw that on Jurassic Park, Dad. I said, no, it's a little different thing. It's not a dinosaur, but it's a big deal. Hey, we got to step aside and take another break, and when we come back, do you have any fun anesthesia stories?
Some. Whenever we do interviews.
We want to talk about that, and we want to talk also about how to prepare for anesthesia, because whether you're painting your walls or whether you're doing anesthesia, preparation is the key. It's the same with having a baby. I always like to get my hands on folks before they get pregnant so we can talk about, getting tuned up before that. And I think it's the same in your field, right?
Same.
We'll talk about that, so that if you are anticipating anesthesia, all of us are going to probably have it likely one way or another sooner or later. It's good to know how to get tuned up for that, get readied so that you have a great outcome, a great experience. Sally Pepsel joins us on Healthy You. You can join us too, 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875.
We'll be right back.
FFA Week is February 16th through the 23rd. Everyone at New Century Computers in LaBelle would like to ask you to join them in taking a moment to salute our area FFA members and your local chapter. This FFA Week salute is courtesy of New Century Computers in LaBelle.
Agriculture teachers rely on more than 53,000 FFA alumni members and countless volunteers to help ease the outside commitments of teaching. Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Young with Brownfield, recognizing the important role that FFA alumni members play during this National FFA Week and year-round. FFA relies on alumni members for student recruiting, scholarship money, advocacy for agricultural education, aiding in camps, conferences, National FFA Convention, and other personal development programs. Anyone who believes in the importance of FFA and agricultural education can be a member of the National FFA Alumni Association. Even if you never wore a blue jacket yourself, you're welcome to join and help prepare students for a brighter future. Join us in recognizing FFA alumni and supporters during this National FFA Week.
From tanning to taxes, Kay at Eggleston Bookkeeping and Tax can help you out. Tax time will be here before you know it, and it's not too late to start thinking about that prom or summer tan. Call 660-465-2684 for an appointment. That's Eggleston Bookkeeping and Tax on Highway 15 North in Memphis, a sponsor of this week's Brownfield FFA Salutes.
It's auction time again. KMEM Radio will be having their annual on-air auction Friday, March 1st, beginning at 10 a.m. till noon every Wednesday and Friday through March. Any business that would like to participate, call our sales department at 800-748-7875 or 660-465-7225. Tune in to KMEM 100.5, America's best country for all the bargains from participating businesses through the month of March.
Natural gas is cool.
Cool. Natural gas is used to heat things. It can't be cool.
Natural gas is clean burning, right?
Yeah.
Natural gas is easy to use, safe, and reliable, correct?
Yeah.
Natural gas is non-toxic and not harmful to us, right?
Uh-huh.
Well?
Natural gas is cool.
Learn more advantages of natural gas at mosafegas.com. A message from Mango, Missouri's natural gas operators.
When you like Missouri Net News on Facebook, you won't get gossip or personal updates. What you will get is news, real news, politics, legislation, the economy, sports, and more. We'll help you stay up to date on the latest in the Show Me State. Whether it's a breaking story at the Capitol, an update from a press conference, or the latest headlines from Mizzou, our reporters are posting updates throughout the day. Log on to Facebook and like Missouri Net News, and let us bring real news to your Facebook page. Your state, your news. Missouri Net.
Anybody else would surely know he's watching her go. But a fool believes he sees the wise man has the power to reason away.
I like to let these things play a little bit. Sometimes it makes me feel sort of like Dave and Donnie. You know, it's like I feel like I'm the DJ spinning the oldies. I've always wanted to be like Dave and Donnie. When I grew up, I told Mom that. But instead, it's talk show host.
Forget Nostalgia Sunday for you, buddy.
I know.
You're not qualified.
There's no way I'm competing. We're talking with Sally Pepsel here on Healthy You and talking about anesthesia. And we've covered a little bit about what happens when you come in, but we want to talk briefly about how to prepare for your anesthesia. Okay, you're not always able to prepare if you're in an accident and you need emergency anesthesia, but for the most part, most of the time, it's like, okay, your surgery's scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Let's do a scenario. Someone's going to have a gallbladder out, Sally, and They smoke a pack a day and eat probably too many things in crinkly packages, as I like to say, and their diet and activity isn't too good. Is there anything they can do if they know they have anesthesia coming up to make a healthier outcome and your job easier, therefore their outcome better?
Well, what makes a difference is that they play an active role in this when they're scheduled for surgery. For one, they need to be not to eat or drink when they're told not to eat or drink from midnight, or when they're scheduled surgeries first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Because we need to have an 8-hour, what we call nothing by mouth.
Is that just because you're a meanie? You just want to punish people? You don't
No,
want them to
it's-
eat for 8 hours?
It's for patient safety.
Oh, I thought it was a control
You can throw
thing.
up.
No, I know that.
You can throw up in the process of where we're putting you to sleep, and that's not good because there are 3 ways it can go: to your nose, to your mouth, or to your lungs.
And we can
don't
handle
have
the first two, but the
Right,
last
but-
one's a
but no,
disaster.
it will be a disaster, and that could cause complications.
And tell us about what happens, because the stomach contents, if you have something on your tummy and you aspirate it, you regurgitate it, and then it goes down the wrong tube.
Right.
And we've all had that episode where, something you're talking and you inhale when before you chewed everything, it goes down the wrong tube, and it's a terrible feeling.
Right.
But what happens if it gets into the lungs? I mean, it can be, tell us about that.
Well, what happens is it's an irritant. So you can have what we call pneumonitis, an aspiration pneumonitis that can lead into pneumonia.
It's an acid pneumonia. I mean, it's basically
It is.
acid eating away at the lung tissue, and that's just
It
really
is.
inflammatory.
It is.
And sometimes that can be a very rapid thing. Your lungs can respond with fluid and swelling, and it can be very, very difficult to manage.
And we may not be able to take the tube out.
Ooh.
We may
Yikes.
have to keep you on a tube to make sure
Yeah.
your ventilatory or respiratory functions are fine.
Yeah. And so you could be on a ventilator for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I have seen that happen once or twice that I can recall, and it's not a pretty scene. I mean, people have recovered, but it can be grave.
Right.
What about smoking? I mean, I've heard various things about that if you stop smoking right before, a surgery, that you might actually get a little rebound in terms of mucus congestion and stuff. What do you tell people that smoke significantly and they have elective surgery coming up?
It used to be that we tell them to quit smoking, but really it doesn't make any difference anymore unless you quit smoking for 3 months. If you can't quit smoking, you can quit up to the day of your surgery, because, like what you said, there will be a rebound secretion production.
But if you know you're going to have like an orthopedic surgery, maybe a knee or hip replacement, and you say, hey, I can't do it because I have a graduation coming up, but I want to do it in July. Okay, and here we are in February.
Then
it makes a huge difference. Yes.
Right. In fact, their surgeon tells them.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
the healing
Yes.
is affected by whether you continue to smoke or not.
So, look, folks, we always like to give you some take-home points, right? Every good university class gives you a few take-home points. And the professor tells you, here's what you need to know for the test. We talked earlier about airways, and we danced around it by using words like habitus and difficult airway and thick neck. The truth is, I can tell you as a surgeon, and a surgeon who's a bit overweight himself, although I broke the 210 and have been there for a week. I'm working on it. And an anesthetist sitting right over here, we will tell you, if you have a chance to eat healthily, lose some weight, even if you don't have surgery coming up, someday you may have, it is a much, much, much better thing to be a little lighter. In fact, to be a lot lighter when you have surgery, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we just need to get the facts out there. Similarly with tobacco. Look, we know it can give you lung cancer. It can harden your arteries. It can cause bladder cancer. Well, be associated with bladder cancer. I can name a million things that smoking is not good for. But when the rubber meets the road and Sally needs to put you to sleep, I can tell you that the number one things that give anesthetists heartburn and have their artery spasm is when they have difficult lungs, emphysematous lungs, bronchitic lungs, asthmatic lungs with a person that's smoking. That's your worst nightmare. Well, one of your worst nightmares, right?
Right.
So Sally is literally getting on her knees here in the studio saying, please don't smoke.
Don't smoke.
Yeah, it's really important. All right, that's going to wrap it up as we've come to another end of another show. I think we're going to have some music here. Yeah, there we go. And we want to thank you, Sally, for being with us. And boy, from the bottom of my heart as a surgeon, it is so nice to be able to focus on working on the patient, doing my technical stuff, and I don't have a care. When you guys are up on the other end of the table, it's just so nice.
And from my side of things, thank you for being the ray of sunshine that
Yes.
just glows all over every
Yes,
hallway
yes.
at Scotland County Hospital. You're great.
And we didn't even get a chance to talk about the fact you're working on your PhD, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting next month to defend my...
And I have to tell you, folks,
girl.
and I'm going to say something about her, and I mean this with all the greatest respect, admiration. She is our OCD poster child when it comes to safety and getting the right thing done and getting practices up to better than snuff. She's great, and she whips us all into shape daily. Thanks, Sally. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And tell all the team thank you for us, too. Thanks for listening this time, folks. Remember, this week, be well. Share it with someone you love. We'll see you next time on Healthy You.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.